Jonathan Toews, the three-time Stanley Cup champion, former captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, the arguably, in my opinion, dynasty team, Captain Serious, he left the NHL because he had health issues. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but he had an inflammatory response ailment that had kept him out of the NHL for this long. Honestly, it was really, really unfortunate. There's no doubt about that. When I learned that, it was so sad to see, because you love seeing icons like this play out their entire NHL career. Even when they do get a little bit older, they're still very useful players. And Jonathan Toews is a player that might actually still have a lot left in the tank. We did receive news from Frank Seravalli that he is eyeing a comeback. Now, it's not for sure this season, but he certainly did not put that out of the cards from the rumor mill that he is hearing, right? So this is really, really interesting news. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Toews. He reported the Avalanche, the Winnipeg Jets, Jonathan Toews' hometown team, might I add, and of course the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, you could look at any of these teams as a good fit for Jonathan Toews simply because of how many teams need a center. If you've been following this channel for a while, I do go on and on about how desperate teams are for a center. Now, you could argue that the Maple Leafs are the most desperate team for a center in this entire a team, Avalanche, Winnipeg, mostly because of Austin Matthews' injury. I mean, they only have John Tavares, so it would make a lot of sense to go for them. But again, I could totally see Winnipeg going after them. And by the way, I would love to see Winnipeg go after Jonathan Toews. That would be fantastic. Jonathan Toews would be a good fit on any of these teams simply because the way he plays is a strong two-way game. He was one of the best two-way players in the game when he was in his prime. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be that much of a game changer as he comes back now at an older age, but he is still damn good. There's no doubt about it. I bet you any money he could still not tear up the NHL, but he is at his playing weight right now. I guarantee you, if his health is right, he could be look just fine in an NHL lineup. Now, let's not forget, in 22-23, he did score 31 points in 50-odd games. I mean, that is pretty good production. Now, I'm not sure if he would be able to do that now. I think a lot of the teams, like the Winnipeg Jets, Leafs, and Avalanche, would probably prefer to play him on the third line, I would say. So he probably won't be expecting that type of production, especially after he has, been away from the National Hockey League for so long, right? When it comes to the Maple Leafs, I think that they could use leadership in their dressing room. Like, I really, really think that this is where Jonathan Toews would fit them well. For the Winnipeg Jets, it's clearly the hometown connection. I think that it would just be, I would just love to see him in Winnipeg because of the hometown connection, if you understand what I mean. And again, when it comes to the Avalanche, why the heck wouldn't he want to play there? I mean, they are a fantastic team. They're a competitive team. They have Nathan MacKinnon, depth at center. I mean, that does make a lot of sense too. I personally think that the fan reaction in Winnipeg would be fantastic, and again from around the league. Like, it does look like he is going to have a comeback, and I hear nothing but good things from fans. Everybody loves Jonathan Toews unless you're a complete hater. The best fit for Toews in terms of kind of nostalgia, I do think would be Winnipeg. They are a fantastic team this season. They are number one in their division. They could offer depth. He could stay close to where his hometown is. I think that logically that might be the best fit. In terms of the team that needs him in terms to be the best fit, I think it would be the Leafs, just because they're very, very thin at center. So that's where I would grade it, 1, 2, and then maybe Avalanche number 3 in my opinion. Now, the biggest thing that I'm wondering right now is if Jonathan Toews will actually sign within this season or whether he will wait until the off season. From my opinion, I think there's a good chance that he's going to sign this season. And the reason for that is we're getting a lot of news that he is healthy and feels good. Now, you have to understand the championship mindset of a Jonathan Toews. Like, guys like this, they love the game. They love the game. So that, I guarantee you, that means that he absolutely is probably going to come back this season. Maybe, to be fair though, maybe this is just my bias that I really want to see him, and I really want to see him in the National National Hockey League playoffs again. I think that would be fantastic to see him ripping around out there, and I would love to see him make a big play in like a second or third round series in the National Hockey League. It would just put a big smile on my face, honestly, no matter what team gets him. If Winnipeg gets him, I would be just as happy. I just want success for Toews. He seems like a great guy. Now I will say this again. Will Jonathan Toews be able to play at an elite, quote-unquote, elite level? Like, Jonathan Toews, before when he played for the Blackhawks, was one of these players that when he was out on the ice, the puck always moved the right way. When you have centers like him on the ice, it's game over, right? He's going to play defense, he's going to win faceoffs, and he can score on you, right? Players that can do all of that are incredibly, incredibly rare in the National Hockey League. He's almost like a Patrice Bergeron type, and while they might not score 120, 125 points, that does not mean that they are not one of the most valuable players in the National Hockey League. Now, I will touch on this, that obviously it depends on what exactly Jonathan Toews wants. I mean, he did just finish off like a couple of years ago, I believe, like a deal for $10 million, $10.5 million, that older deal that he signed with the Blackhawks. I mean, I would want it to be a low-cost deal, especially because you don't know exactly what you're going to get from Toews. It's very questionable as to what exactly is going to happen here. So I would be a little bit worried about that. Like I'm very interested to see like what he actually wants from a team. But again, if he returns to form, and let's say he's willing to sign a minimum deal just to get back in there and have the passion, let's see what he can do, and signs a minimum deal, he could be a big game changer. You could have a solid middle six, two-way center that's at his playing weight, that's playing really well. That could be a game changer for both the Jets, the Maple Leafs, and the Avalanche here. So anyways, I just wanted to touch on this NHL rumor. If you could make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys. And by the way, make sure to have a great day.